Hi, everyone. Look who is back from Italy and able to join us tonight. How are you doing, Mel?
Hey everybody, I'm good. I got back last night, and I'm just adjusting my screen here. I got back last night. Kim Copeland was along with us. It
Nice.
was a wonderful trip, and needless to say, I was jet lagged.
Mm.
It was Gary's birthday, so I brought him back a few things from Rome. I couldn't find a birthday card in Italy, and if I did, it'd been written in Italian. Um, so when I got home, um, we ordered out and then ate, and I fell asleep. And then today he and I hung out together and did some fun stuff. um
Nice.
so I'm rested up, but I'm still like tired, but I'm
Mm.
good. And I got new glasses, and I'm kind of like all over the place with them, so if I keep going like this, it's like I'm looking at the print.
Well, I know that we all missed you. We're glad that you're back and that you had a good time and a safe trip.
Oh, thank you. Well, I had a good time. Yep.
Good.
And I've got Africa next June, and I've got the Rhine River next September. So I won't do an infomercial on them. I'll talk, but I'll just mention it from time to time because I've got openings on both.
Perfect. And how did if anybody wants to inquire, they can call your office.
Yes, 847-590-5411. 847-590-5411. Well, I've only got room for 20 people on the Africa trip. So
Okay.
anyway,
So
um,
you missed a lot of what's going on, right?
well,
On your
when I
vacation.
left,
Yeah.
Hamas, or whatever you pronounce it,
Wow.
hummus, um, had just launched that attack against Israel, and then I left, and so for 9 days I have not been looking at the news at all. I know in Europe, nobody in Europe seemed to be uptight about the thing going on in Israel. I mean, if they did, they didn't show it, and nobody in
Yeah.
Italy really talked about it. So I guess Europe wasn't that upset by it. Well, I guess they're upset by it, but they weren't
Mm-hmm.
fired up by it. And then I heard that Sidney Powell pled guilty, and then
Yeah.
she flipped on Trump.
That happened this morning. Yep. A
but
lot of
you,
a lot of stuff. A
but
lot of
you and I predicted that there would be a couple people that would come forward and flip on Trump. So
Oh,
here we go.
absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
we had one that flipped in the Georgia case. I don't remember his name. But yeah, she's definitely I think the first significant one to flip. And I really feel like as a result, we're gonna see it's gonna be a bit of a domino effect. I always felt like half of the people would plead out in the that were indicted in Georgia. I like 8 or 9 of them doing plea deals.
Well, we got one doing a plea deal. I'm sure that they give Sidney Powell a plea deal. Like, well, they might. I don't know if they. Yeah, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know what she's flipped on, but I don't know what she said, but it's going to be pretty damning.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Well, we're gonna see a preview here soon with Chesbro doing his trial is coming up. I think beginning of next month. So
You mean
um,
cheeseburger?
cheeseburger, yeah. I
I
was
don't
gonna
know.
say something and I lost it. Oh, a lot of people are upset too that there wasn't jail time included in her plea deal. It was like 6 years probation, fine. But I just want everyone to know that I feel more charges coming with Jack Smith. And I almost felt like too when it said that she would flip, she has to testify and give truthful testimony. Well, thank you for becoming a member, Rebecca. Um, she has to be truthful, and I don't know if she's the most credible witness. Like I feel like there might be a slip up there when she's testifying or giving up information that might come back and bite her. Is kind of what I was feeling.
Well, if they give her the fifth and she testifies, then she's immune to prosecution. But
Hmm.
I took behind the scenes that they that there was some kind of deal cut with her. If you work with us, then it's called downward departure.
Mhm.
We won't charge you with this or that, or they do points some way. I don't know exactly how it works.
Yeah.
So, I was upset because she didn't get jail time, but let's see what she has to tell him about Trump. And evidently, it must be a lot of information. Otherwise, I don't think they would have ever
Oh, she
cut.
was crucial. She was
I'm sorry.
crucial in the planning. Absolutely.
Yep.
And I agree with Earth Mama. She says that testimony will blow people out of the water. I feel people are scared. I put on my community board today. Um, Trump's not going to be too happy, and I'm sure all of his staffers are hiding the ketchup as we speak. So
I agree.
I thought of a good name for Trump. It just kind of came to me with it. I called him the Tangerine Tantrum.
Oh, I like that.
It was a good one, right?
The tangerine tantrum. I like that.
Yeah.
I call him Cheeto Head and a few other choice names. But
Right. We won't say it
we'll
on
go with
YouTube.
TT, tangerine tantrum. I like that.
She has Sydney Palace to write an apology to Georgia too. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's see what she writes in the apology. It better be something good. But she'll never practice law again, that's for sure.
Uh-huh.
She lost her license to practice law, didn't she?
I don't know if she lost her license, but um,
Oh.
she might have. But if she hasn't, I do feel like her losing her license at some point. But like I said, I don't feel she's out of the water. I really don't. I think she will be one of the ones indicted with Jack Smith at the January 6th. I think probably one of the first ones.
Oh, she's going to be indicted federally too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Can I just put this up?
Yeah, of course.
Earth Mama put this up. It's not really, you can read, it's not really a question, it's a statement.
Mm-hmm. The State Department just issued a travel alert worldwide. The president will speak to the nation tonight at 8. Our ship has intercepted Iranian drones all day. Okay. Well, we did come on live an hour early because of his speech. I wanted to watch it, and I felt like a lot of you would be watching it too. I don't know, with his whole trip to Israel, I know that it was kind of cut short, and he wasn't able to do everything that he really wanted to do. So I kind of feel like tonight's speech, obviously he's going to talk about Israel being our ally and standing up with Israel. But I also feel with Biden specifically, him being really concerned of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, and I see that being a big push. I think some stuff with the house in shambles and not being able to get any aid to our allies, Ukraine and to Israel. I feel like his speech is going to actually be really well received today.
I mean, but you have to say who's behind this Hamas thing. It wasn't just haphazard. It was an orchestrated attack.
Yeah.
And so I tend to think, Iran was behind some of it, or Iran, however you want to say it. I say Iran.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
I think Iran, had Putin backing them. Our money coming in from Putin, dark money. And so, where else would Iran get the drones and things like that? I'm sure Russia had to supply them with something.
Mm-hmm. Well, who does this all benefit?
Well, it benefits Putin because
exactly.
Because if he can get the Middle East on his side, all right, and create chaos there, he knows how everybody, that a lot of Middle Eastern countries don't like Israel. And so here you go. But
well, not even just that though. It's a distraction from what his goal is in Ukraine.
Absolutely.
It's pulling people away. And I said before, and I feel this way really strongly, I don't think it's a coincidence in the timing that Kevin McCarthy was ousted as speaker. It feels like it's like this huge plan, and who has the most to benefit with no aid going to Ukraine, for the distractions and having everybody look over in Israel?
Putin does.
Putin, absolutely.
Well, I'm sure it was engineered. Putin engineered it. I think you're incredibly right on with that, to take the spotlight off of Ukraine and put it, on the Middle East. Don't forget, Putin is bright. He's no KGB, and they know how to create chaos.
Right.
Essentially, on Putin's part, this whole thing in Israel is wag the dog. It's like, the magician shows up. Look at what's going over here. Why down here, I'm doing what I want. So,
Well, that's what they all do. That comes from Putin's playbook. We
but
see it with the MAGA Republicans. It's a diversion. We're going to draw your attention over here while we do our nefarious deeds over here.
Our D's,
Yeah.
Our here, I got to find our D list. Deceive, divert, detract, distract, divide, and destroy.
Yeah.
But my guides tell me still that Ukraine will not stop fighting. They will not give up. And it's going to be like a Vietnam to Russia if Russia continues. And, this whole thing in Israel, I'm worried about it escalating. And so I don't know what's going to happen, but I do see it escalating a little bit more, but I do not see it leading to a world war.
I agree. I do feel like, well, and I think that's why the U.S. moved some of the ships over there, and I think they're bringing troops closer to kind of defer any outside, like from Iran. I do see problems with Iran with it, but I agree. I don't feel like it turns into a world war situation. But I agree. It feels like there's a lot of, it's going to get worse before it gets better, unfortunately. I also worry, though, too, is I feel like there might be more attacks worldwide. I'm going to be careful with what I say on here, but more violence throughout the globe. I definitely feel a bit on. I don't know. It definitely feels like on edge a little bit.
Well, I think, my guides, I intuit that Iran is behind this.
Yeah.
And who's Iran is in bed with Putin.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think here again, at the risk of being redundant, my psychic impressions tell me that if Putin can create all of this chaos in the Middle East, right? He gets people against Israel. He gets the Middle East on his side. So, I think he'd like it to go into a full blown regional conflict over there.
Yeah.
Because that takes the spotlight off him, and it makes him gain favor then with the Middle East.
I don't see that being successful, though, that plan of his. And I know that we've been saying, Putin's going to go, but I don't feel like he's going to be around too much longer.
He's not, but that still means, but he's still involved in a lot of this.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And, a lot of people are afraid. The other thing is, if Putin can do something like this and get the United States to send a lot of troops, toward the Middle East, then the United States is going to have to pull troops out of, I think we have troops along the Polish border. I think it might be in Slovakia, but there's like 100,000 troops over there. So if we pull them out of there and put them over here, then that weakens the defenses for Eastern Europe, doesn't it? And so I think that's another reason that he wants to create this conflict in the Middle East. Yeah. That's what psychically I see.
Yeah, I agree. But I do feel like in the end, I do feel like there is going to be progress. Like I said, it feels like it's a bit worse, a bit more chaotic before it gets better. Do you feel like it's going to turn into a two-state solution after everything's all said and done?
You mean between Israel and Palestine? And Palestine? You mean, will Israel ever see Palestine as a country, as an independent nation? I see Palestine at some point as an independent nation.
Yeah.
And but right now, neither one of them is going to want to concede to much. So I guess it's a question of who attacked whom. But at some point, I see Palestine becoming its own independent state, yes, and I see Israel remaining as its own independent state.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, and I think all of this too is really going to be the downfall of Netanyahu over there. Um, I don't foresee like the peace while he's in the picture, but I do feel like he'll be ousted at some point, and it
well,
feels like it's better when somebody new comes in.
on some level, I think Netanyahu likes this because it detracts attention away from him and his
Uh-huh.
crookedness, and it's more about here again, wag the dog. What is he going to do for Israel during this time when we were attacked?
It's a power play, is what I just heard.
Absolutely. So Netanyahu can try to use this to his benefit. Like, I'm the president, look what I'm doing, and blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. I do agree that they'll get rid of him, they'll vote him out, and I still see him being held accountable for the crimes he's committed. But this just puts things on hold for a while, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
That's how I see it psychically.
yeah.
But
All right.
I ultimately see peace coming, so it's going to take a while, but I do see that.
Well, and that kind of goes into Cicero's question. They ever agree to a two-state solution, maybe within the next 5 years? I
I don't know.
feel like it might be 3 to 5 years.
I don't know if it'll happen within 5 years. It
I feel like it's going to be part of the peace talks as they're wrapping up. But I do feel like this going on for a little while. Yes.
but at some point they will coexist
Mm-hmm.
and coexist peacefully.
Yeah.
So by virtue of the fact they coexist, that means then Palestine would end up being its own separate state, and Israel will remain its own separate state. So,
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, there's been always a lot of trouble in the Gaza Strip. It's always been a hotbed.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to post this. It's not a question, but Anna says, "Hi, Mel and Kevin. I want to thank Mel. I had a reading with him on 10/5. He told me I had a blockage in my heart, and I found out this past Tuesday he was correct."
Well, I'm glad that they found the blockage, and I'm, um, glad that they're able to treat it. I will
Mm-hmm.
say I'm not a doctor, and
Yeah,
I
of course.
cannot diagnose. But if I say I feel something here, possibly in the heart or whatever, I'm not trying to diagnose. I'm just saying, watch that area. But
Yeah, you have some concern with it.
I'm sorry.
Did you pick up on some of the concern with
Correct.
them? Yeah,
Correct. But Anna, I'll send you lots of healing energy. Everybody send Anna healing energy, and
yeah,
hopefully the doctors can stent that and get that blockage removed.
yeah. I
Or it
think
could
that
be an AV block. It could be a nerve. It could be like a signal block too.
yeah, and I feel like the fact that it was caught, I think is great. But we're all sending you a lot of love and healing energy, Anna. All right, let's get into some questions. Do we want to talk about the chaos in the house? We've been saying get your popcorn ready.
Oh,
It's going to be quite a show.
right.
I upset somebody because I said shit's going to hit the fan, but I mean, I think
Why,
that's the best
why
way to
were
describe what's going on, right?
why were they upset by that?
I don't know. I think we could have said much. I could have said much worse words. I really tried to be careful with my language, but I don't feel like that is that bad. But yeah, it's a what show for sure, right?
Well, it is actually. So,
So it was interesting because today I was in a reading, so I hadn't even heard about it, but somebody left a comment on my post saying that um, Jim Jordan backed out from being speaker and that they were all coming together to make McHenry a temporary speaker. And that didn't seem right to me because I think Jim Jordan's all part of the MAGA plan to cause chaos and dysfunction in our democracy right now. And I was like, well, I don't know. It just didn't resonate with me. And then it was like an hour or two later, he said he is going to continue to fight for the speakership. they were all infighting. I guess McCarthy yelled at Gates. Somebody lunged at Gates in their conference. It was a madhouse. But yeah,
So
definitely.
right, you know what show, and you've been saying all along that the Republican Party is going to implode, and here we are. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a hot mess.
Well, we say it every show too, but it feels like it just collects and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
I do not see Jim Jordan as speaker. I
I
do
agree.
not. And you know, I don't know what he's got up his sleeve other than trying to create more chaos. But I think a lot of the senators, I'm sorry, a lot of the House members who voted against Jim Jordan you told me, Kevin, are receiving threats and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. And if Jordan were any kind of person, he'd stand up and say, even if these people didn't vote for me, please don't make death threats against our families and things like that, because that's not the democratic way. But I haven't heard him say anything like that, or if he did, I'm
Yeah.
not aware of it.
Yeah.
So
I
I
think he kind of he denounced it a little bit, but
yeah, well, a
we all
little.
know he's part of this group, part of this pressure campaign to get these people to flip.
That's
It's
like a
so
wink, that's like a wink and a nod. He denounced it.
right. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just all really kind of interesting. I'm glad that these 20 holdouts, um, obviously we don't want violence or threats going on with them, but they are a little bit, um, what's the word? I don't know. The Republican Party lacks courage. It's their fault that they've allowed this MAGA part of their party to overtake it. So I'm glad that they're standing up to it, and I feel like the threats actually con- continue to kind of make them firm. Was no, we're not going with Jordan. The issue is that the MAGA caucus isn't going to vote for anybody but Jordan or anybody that's not MAGA, and
Yeah, but they don't have the majority.
well, right. Well, that's where we don't get anything done. We're in a stalemate. So it's going to be a bit of a pressure campaign back and forth. And I do feel at some point, some of the, more, I don't really want to call them moderates, but Republicans in swing districts, the ones that are standing up to the MAGAs, they're going to have to come across aisles and make deals with Democrats. But it's going to take them a little while before they get to that point.
That's what my guys have been showing me all along. That certain, Republicans, middle of the road Republicans, would reach across the aisle and work with Democrats and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what I see happening. I mean, this whole MAGA thing could very well cause the Republicans to lose the House.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's part of the implosion of the Republican Party that I've been saying. Trump and these MAGAs are going to take the whole party down, crashing and burning with them. And we're only at the tip of the iceberg. I know it doesn't seem like it can get much worse, but the dysfunction in the House, we're going to have some people in the Congress that get indicted. I feel like big things around dark money channels coming out. There's going to be a lot that really, this is going to be the start of part of the Republican Party standing up to the MAGAs, and it's kind of like that civil war that kind of causes that implosions and that division in the Republican Party that I've been seeing for
Well, the
a while.
MAGAs call themselves Republican, but that's not Republican.
Right.
And they're successfully bringing the whole party down. Well,
Mm-hmm.
not the whole party, but causing the party to have all the infighting. But look at what Trump did when he was president of the United States and the infighting he caused.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what's going to happen to America if a MAGA candidate wins for president.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the infighting, the chaos. I just hope that, ultimately I see MAGA going away, like McCarthyism went away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're at the beginning of that. But I mean, exactly what MAGA has done to the Republican Party will happen to the United States if they're not stopped.
Mm. What do you mean? the
look how
United
they
States is
look
going
how
to
they cause
implode.
chaos and confusion,
Mhm.
and the whole party to. I mean, there's some moderates left, but the whole party is falling apart,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what they would cause in the United States if
Well, that's
they.
what they have caused. They've caused all of this division and
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 then we
all
get
of this
yes,
fighting.
and then we get worse.
Yeah. I I agree with you to a degree, but I feel it being kind of crucial because the Republican Party is going to implode. They're going to have to rebuild, and they'll actually be a much better party after they cut out the cancer, if you want to call them, if you
Yes,
want to
that's
call them
my
that.
whole point. That's my
Yeah.
whole point.
So it's still we still have a little bit of time before that happens. It's not going to happen overnight, but
Mm.
it's meant to happen. And like I said, in the end, the Republican Party will kind of have to rebrand, rebuild, and they'll be a much more moderate party. It's not going to be so divisive or so hateful. Um, I mean, you'll still have some elements of that, but they're really going to have to change because they know that they can't win elections and that we're moving forward. We're not going back to the past anymore. It's going to be crucial.
My guides show me pretty strongly that, we can't let the MAGA people win, because if they do,
So they
exactly
won't.
what they've done to their parties, exactly what they're going to do to the country. Look at the chaos that Trump created when he was president.
Oh yeah.
And we're still cleaning up the mess of that.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't feel they'll win, no. But we still have to continue to speak up and do our job to make sure they don't.
Oh, I agree 100% now. But I'm just saying that it's all kind of part of what is meant to happen with the Republican Party. Um, but and I see as a result all of this extremism kind of settling down in the coming years.
I agree with that, but it's
Hmm.
going to take a while.
Yeah, it'll take a while. All right. So let's. Do you did you get any hits on who you think the next speaker might be?
I don't know. I haven't really looked at it, but it's not going to be Jim Jordan. I can tell you that right now.
When I looked at it, it was really interesting. I did I think it was last week. It when McCarthy was out, I felt energy around Scalise, but when I asked my guides if he'd be speaker, I heard a loud no. But it felt like he was the focus, and he was. Um, when I asked about Jim Jordan, I got a straight out no. I do feel like there might be like I know that they took it off the table for now, but they probably will have to make McHenry an interim um, House Speaker and give him limited power so they can get stuff done. So I do feel like pressure behind that. But when it actually comes to the next speaker, I felt energy around Tom Cole. I even felt like if McCarthy kind of came across aisles, it's not going to happen right now. He's totally attacking Democrats for it. But if he actually would have worked with Democrats, he would still be speaker. But then when I asked my pendulum too about Hakeem Jeffries, I got a strong yes to it. So maybe we have an interim speaker and then ultimately Hakeem Jeffries gets in.
I just see they're going to drag their feet on appointing a speaker, but they're going to have to do something. So, because without a speaker, it's essentially, well, it's not a government shutdown, but it's kind of like that.
Well, we're going to have one in a month if they don't have
Right.
anybody that can pay a bill
They're
on the
holding up the government. But I don't see how McCarthy can blame the Democrats for this. His own party ousted him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anybody with half a brain would see that. So I don't understand why he blames why he blames his party. He should be blaming the people who did it, like Matt Gaetz.
Right. It's just going to be chaos and mess in the house for a while, you guys. I'm sorry to say, but I do feel like they're going to have to put that McHenry in for a little bit. Oh,
Yeah,
we have breaking news.
I agree with that. But
Breaking news inside the Jordan meeting. Every Republican who met with Jordan today told him they would not back his candidacy for House Speaker, according to multiple sources in the room. So Jordan doesn't have a chance to get in. But we also know that the MAGA extremists aren't going to vote in anybody else either. So that's where it kind of will come to having to work with Democrats to get one in.
well, then you know what? That's very easily how they could lose the House.
Mm-hmm.
Because with a few Republicans and the majority of Democrats, how many votes do the Democrats need to take over? How many seats? How many votes for the seats do
They
they
have 212 and they need 218. So I think 5 or 6.
have? So And how many seats do the Republicans have?
221.
221. So so it's 221 to what? I'm sorry.
To 212, I believe.
Oh,
Valerie said 5.
okay, I got it.
I may have the numbers wrong, but roughly it's around that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. So we're looking what, 9 seats? I don't know, but Jordan's not going to get it. I can tell you that right now.
We have another vote scheduled for tomorrow. He's not going to get it tomorrow.
Third speaker's vote scheduled for tonight. Well, it's going to be the same. Jim Jordan's not going to get it. So why are they wasting time and energy? Put somebody else, put a better candidate in there.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, I'm going to post this. It's not political, but Anya says, is it too soon to know if it will be safe to travel to Egypt the last week in November for 2 weeks?
Well, we just got back from Italy, and like I said, I didn't hear any of the Italians talking about it.
Mhm.
I mean, if it was big news, we would have heard. But then again, I didn't watch much television there. So, well, Egypt's in northern Africa. I'm going in June to Kenya and Tanzania. My feeling is it will be safe to travel to Egypt. Absolutely. Even the State Department issues that warning worldwide just to be careful. So my feeling is whoever's asking this, I feel it'll be safe.
Yeah, I do feel like there's caution around the city, and I don't know if that's a travel, the State Department posting something for Egypt because it's right next to it borders Gaza too. So, um, but I agree with Mel though too. If something doesn't happen with restrictions, I feel like it would be safe for you. But I do feel an element of caution too.
Let me just Google something real quick.
Okay.
One second.
Yeah.
I'm doing some homework.
Ted wants to know. Well, while you do that, I'm going to answer this. Ted wants to know, what do you see for the abortion issue that will be in November in Ohio? I feel like issue 1's going to pass. Ted, is what I'm feeling. So, and I feel like a big reason why the last issue 1 in the special election passed by such a good margin was because of the abortion issue right there. So, but we have to all get out to vote. I do feel like a lot of women coming out to vote and a lot of young people, for this specifically, Ted.
Actually, Egypt is in Africa. It kind of the Middle East. It's got a border with Israel.
Yeah, it borders Israel and Gaza.
Right. I just looked on the map, but I think if you're going to be going to Cairo, that's close. But my feeling is you'll be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just check something else here real quick. What I'm doing is I'm touching the map with my finger to see if I get a certain energized charge. If I do, I know it's like problem.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I feel like if she goes, I feel like she's going to be safe. But I also feel like a bit of hesitancy, and I'm not sure if that's maybe travel restrictions or that area is, a little wonky right
Well,
now.
when I'm touching Israel right now, it's a huge energetic no, caution, careful. I can feel the energy of it. But when I feel Egypt, I don't really, I'm not drawing anything. I'm feeling cyclically, it'll be safe.
Okay.
So I when I work with maps, that's how I do it.
Mm-hmm. Pam says, I don't see Mehdi Hassan, Ali Veshi, or Ahmad. I don't know who that is, and I don't want to butcher his name. MSMBC.
I think.
Ali Velshi, last I saw him, I just saw him a few days ago. He was, I believe, in Israel. So, doing like live reporting. I don't know who the other 2 are. So,
I probably think they're on assignment or something.
right. I don't know if the question was, if they were let go or something. No, I don't feel that. Like I said, I just saw Ali Velshi on the news the other day.
No, I think they're still around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm looking for things here, Kevin.
All right. I got some start. Carrie G says, "Good evening. Was wondering if Biden's popularity will rise before the next election. So many lies on social media."
I think his popularity is already rising.
Well, you know what? I think if Trump was president, he would never go into a conflict area to talk to somebody. Um, so I think that shows, you know, Biden's presidential, and he's actually going out there and doing the work. But I do feel like his popularity rising. I think when you compare it to all of the dysfunction in the GOP, it's a no-brainer for a lot of people too. So I don't even know if it has to be necessarily popularity. It's like voting for sanity and voting for chaos, you know?
Right.
And I think that's a lot of people are going to get that. And really, I think too the Roe v. Wade being a big issue, and getting people out to vote in 2024. So, I read on this before. I don't know who's running against Trudeau in the next election, but I almost did feel like there might be a change in Canada.
If they're too right wing, I don't think so. I can't pronounce the guy who's running against him. Polay. I can't pronounce French. It's too right wing. That's true. You know, if they get a moderate in there, that could beat Trudeau. But if they got somebody really far to the right, the answer is I don't think they'll be able to beat Trudeau.
Okay.
The Canadian system's a little bit different than ours. I think they vote for the parliament, and then whoever gets a majority in parliament then puts
Okay.
in the prime minister. Or
I don't know. I did kind of feel like a bit of a transition in Canada. It's just kind of what I was thinking.
it could be changes in parliament.
Yeah, maybe. All right. I don't feel China getting involved in the Middle East, Yogi Bear. I
Well,
think behind the scenes, but if you're talking about,
I think behind the scenes they're probably sending some weapons. But as far as them stepping forward and saying we're supporting one side or the other, I don't know. But my guides show me them slipping money under the table to people in Iran as well. So
yeah, it's more of like indirectly behind the scenes, but I don't feel like like boots on the ground or anything like that. But yeah, they're definitely watching. I definitely think that they probably have some interest in it, and their allies too. So, but I don't feel like a direct involvement.
no, I don't think it's direct. No. Here, I got to get back to the chat.
Did you just click on one? I was just wanted to pull up this no
I
middle
think
name.
I just did. I clicked on the wrong one. I apologize.
Oh, it's okay. Well, I just wanted to bring this up. Let's send some prayers to no middle name. She says, "I'm having severe bout with depression and loneliness. Thank you and bless you." Sending you a lot of love, no middle name.
Yeah, on our trip to Italy, we had someone there who was just coming out of depression and felt completely paralyzed by it, and said, "Well, I've got to do something for myself." And this, I won't say he or she, but this person came with us on the trip and did remarkably well. And it took a lot of courage for this person to do that. And if you're watching, you know who I'm talking about. And you did incredibly well. And I admire your courage. So, no middle name. If somebody can do that, there's a lot of hope out there for you.
Mm-hmm. Lori says Alan Weisselberg committed perjury on the stand earlier this week. Will he get sent back to prison?
I see him back in jail. I don't know if it's if you commit perjury, yeah, they got to charge him for that. But did they let him out of prison? I don't know, but I see him behind bars still.
Yeah, he did. He did get out. But I agree with you. I kind of feel like he goes back behind bars too.
Well, he better put some bling on those orange slider shoes because he's going to need them.
I'm just gonna throw a card.
I see him back in jail. He's not out of the woods yet. That's what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I have the Queen of Rods here, and I don't know if that's Letitia James, but it's like the secrets are coming out. They're the things that he perjured himself. There's the evidence to prove that, and then it's a bit of an emotional overflow of emotions. You know, feeling a bit teary-eyed. So I don't feel like he did himself any favors. Doesn't necessarily say jail with those cards, but I agree with you, Mel. I kind of feel like that very well might happen.
What? Yeah. That. Okay. I'm reading through the comments here. What did he commit perjury about?
Well, it has to be with the New York case, I would assume.
Said earlier this week, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know specifically what.
Well, they'll be able to prove that he perjured himself. You know, it's one thing to perjure yourself. Can they prove it? The answer is yes, they will be able to prove it.
Oh yeah, well, Tish James is my Queen of Wands, and with that, with the Moon, it's like finding everything that's hidden in the dark. So if he perjured himself, she's got the information to back up that he lied. Anne says Hal might be the woman who takes 45 down. Hal maybe, but also a lot of other women taking.
There's a lot of other women that will too.
Right.
But Powell's testimony, which he's going to say behind the scenes, is pretty damning. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not letting it out yet. But when it comes out, it's going to be like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. But I also feel like, too, like, I don't think she's the most clear-headed person. I don't think she's the most reliable witness or, somebody to give testimony. And I feel like she might say something that comes back to bite her in the butt.
Yeah, but there's going to be somebody else coming forward to corroborate what she said. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think
they have so much that we don't know about, and so much evidence and stuff too.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
Mm-hmm. And going back to kind of the House Speaker. Sorry, we're kind of going all over the place, but are we ever going to get a House Speaker? When I read on it, I felt like it would be like November or December. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but like I said, I feel like it's a bit of chaos until I feel like they're going to end up putting this interim McHenry in interim, and then maybe it's just him for a while, and maybe sometime next year Hakeem Jeffries comes in after him.
I don't know if they can do that though. I don't know if they can vote him in as interim. I don't know how that works. I know he's pro tempore or whatever.
Right.
I don't know enough about the procedural stuff to know.
I feel like it's going to, right, but they can change the rules for things. So it could be like, or giving him the power to do funding bills, or just so there's not so much gridlock. I feel in giving aid, because we have a budget to pass here in like a month, and Ukraine and Israel need aid. I do see them putting money towards the border issue too. So they had to get something done.
They'll have something up their sleeve. Mm-hmm. I do think they've got something up their sleeve. I mean, to keep things from shutting down and blah blah blah. Yes.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know how they'll step around it, but they'll find a way briefly. But it's not gonna. They're not gonna be able to step around it in the long term.
Question: does Trump wear adult diapers while in court?
No. I love that, Reinhold. That's good.
Well, you missed it too. He got a gag order. Did that happen before you left?
I heard about the gag order. Well, my guides had shown me he was going to get a gag order.
Yeah, me too.
But what judge gave it to him? What judge gave it to him this time?
It was the first one was the what's his name? The New York judge, and then Chutkin. And Chutkin's not going to play, but I guess he just posted Letitia James's address, and I feel like some trouble for that in the New York case.
He's going to end up held in contempt of court, and I don't know if they'll lock him up or put him under house arrest, and then if he continues, he will get locked up,
mm-hmm.
and just instructed to stop being in contempt of court. So one of these, he thinks the rules do not apply to him, but now he's learning they do.
Well, and also too, it's all about getting his base all riled up and getting them all excited. Um, getting them all angry. He would love the photo op of being sent to jail because he could be the martyr, but I think he would have a meltdown 5 minutes in the jail cell.
Oh yeah.
When the press isn't there, he would lose it.
He wouldn't even last 5 minutes.
Right.
That's a great question, Reinhold. That's really good.
Right. He might have to here soon. Start wearing some diapers.
I think they should crazy glue his lip.
All right. I feel like we read on this every week. When will the Fed start lowering the rates? I do feel some drops. It feels next year, but it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to be very slow and gradual.
Yeah, that I saw them raising it one more time, and then them starting to lower it. So that's how I see it.
Mm-hmm. All right. This beach boxer. Trump is saying he wants to go to Israel to fix things right when the guilty plea came in, an excuse to flee or test if he's okay to leave the country. I don't know. I don't see him going to Israel. I think that that's all just talking tough.
That's just talk. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think he's been advised not to leave the country, and I'm probably sure his passport has been revoked. So he knows better than to leave the country. And if he tries to get in Israel, Netanyahu and Trump might be buddies, but Netanyahu knows better than to allow Trump to stay there or flee to there.
Mm-hmm.
But the only place it would take him will be Russia.
Yeah, I don't see him fleeing to Israel. I just don't.
Either. I don't see that. Okay.
Earth Mama says there was also a huge fight to oust Gates. Yeah, I heard that. Can they eject him? I do feel Gates leaving before his term's up in 2024, but with all of the chaos right now, it feels like it could happen after they get a speaker in there. But like I said, it might take a while.
My guides just told me clearly and loudly they will get him out. I don't know here again though, I don't know the procedure in order to get him out. I don't know if you can vote somebody out. I guess you can. They voted out the House Speaker. But I see, it's not going to be as easy as they think. But the fight to oust him is going to continue. And at some point, he will be gone. But I agree with you that I think it'll be like after a new speaker is in place.
I feel like it might be like spring or summer of next year.
Right.
Probably, I think sooner than summer, actually, probably like spring. But he's got a lot of trouble coming up his way too, along with others in Congress. So, DC Ryder said Weissman said language in Powell's deal indicates she has not made a deal with Jack Smith. She was in the Oval Office with Mike Flynn, Trump, Meadows, discussing martial law and seizing voting machines. Yeah. And then I think that just goes to say that she's been out of the woods with the federal case, the January 6th.
Yeah, but if that's the case, that, the term she has to serve is with Georgia, correct? Yes, in Georgia, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't federal. It was the state of Georgia.
She's going to get indicted federally, too.
I'm sorry?
Trump's the only one that got indicted with D.C. There's much more that will be indicted in D.C.
My point is, she was indicted by the state of Georgia. I don't think she was indicted under the federal government. So Jack Smith could indict her under the federal government, right, and then cut a deal with her and say, cooperate with us. And I tend to think that's what's going to happen.
Okay. I don't know. I still feel trouble for it, though.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I agree with you. I do agree with you on that. But I see 2 or 3 more people coming forward to testify against Trump, both to flip on Trump federally and in the state of Georgia.
Yeah, I agree.
When those sentences start getting handed down, people are going to sing like birds.
This
So
is a good one. We kind of talked about it, but do you feel 5 or 6 Republican holdouts will cross over to the left? It's not going to happen right now.
I don't know if they'll cross to the left, but I see them, you know, I see them working with Democrats in the center. Some Democrats will work in the center, others won't. But
Hmm.
um, so I don't like the term left or right. I mean, ultra left, ultra right's no good. MAGA's ultra right, but there's some ultra left people that are Dems. But
Hmm.
I see things coming more center. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. Some bipartisanship.
correct.
I agree. I think I don't know if your question was is 5 or 6 Republicans going to vote for Hakeem Jeffries? It's not going to happen right now. Sorry to say.
No, I don't think so.
But it does feel like this infighting between the Republicans, it's going to continue to grow, and maybe in the future, 5 or 6 of them would because they can't govern, they can't do anything. But it's not going to happen right now, I don't think.
Can I just share something that
Of
Ian McGrath
course.
put up? This is really cool. It's a good point. Um,
Hmm.
he, the U.S. is fighting three fronts at the moment: their own, Ukraine, and now Israel. The U.S. is at their weakest at the moment, being split 3 times. That's true. I mean, we don't
Hmm.
have troops in Ukraine, but we have troops in Eastern Europe, right? Um, so we're
Hmm.
fighting on our own front as well, and so look at the chaos that Trump has caused already and that the MAGAs have caused. And that's what they want. And I'm telling you, it's coming indirectly from Putin
Hmm. Oh, absolutely. We've been saying that for
for
a
a long
long
time.
time.
And that will more of that will come out and show it. They'll
Hmm.
have proof that Putin is kind of behind a lot
Oh,
of
absolutely. Yeah. Well,
and I
and
and I
Hillary said it all along. Trump was Putin's puppet, and that's going to come back to the surface at some point too.
and I think in indirect ways, Putin is behind this whole thing in the Middle East
I
with
agree.
um, with Iran,
Hmm.
and Hamas attacking. So
Yeah.
that's how I see it. But that was a really good observation, Ian. Thank you.
Hmm. I just want to say hi to Kevin Lewis, and Deanne is watching. Hello to you both.
Hi, Kevin Lewis. Hi, Deanne. I'm back.
Hmm. I don't know what she's referring to if Deanne's talking about Liz Cheney or Mitt Romney being speaker. I don't see it.
Mm-mm.
I don't see either of them.
Mitt Romney did speak up, but I don't think he'll be speaker.
There is no way the Republicans would vote Liz Cheney in right now, but I do see her coming back, and she'll be crucial when the party totally implodes on itself with rebuilding it, but not just yet.
Remember when there was a time that all of us thought Mitt Romney was too far to the right? Now look.
Right.
I mean, Trump did change people's perceptions on a lot of things, I suppose.
Hmm. Oh, this is a good question. Iran also. That was my first hit with when the stuff happened in Ukraine was Iran. I did feel Russia too, but I think the most person involved with it was Iran with getting weapons to um, Hamas.
I
Um,
do, I do. Go ahead, Kevin.
I was gonna. I mean, I think we're both saying the same thing. We've said it before too. I did. I remember when they were having all the protests in Iran, and I got a strong hit that revolution's coming in Iran sooner rather than later. It might take a couple of years, but I do see a bit of like an uprising in Iran and changing in the government.
Well, that's what. Go ahead.
No,
That's, I'm sorry.
go ahead. I'm all finished, Mel.
Great minds think alike. That's what I was going to say too. We've been saying for a long time that the people in Iran would start to speak up,
Hmm.
step up, and they are. And I think, Iran, kind of backing Hamas and, anti-Israel and all that, here again, wag the dog. It takes attention off of what's going on in Iran internally. You
Yeah,
know, just like they had the revolution and overturned the Shah, I see a revolution coming that overturns the ayatollahs and the religious police and all of that, specifically because they're hanging innocent women. They're hanging
Yeah.
people that shouldn't be. And people are going to start speaking up. I think the same thing that happened in Argentina years ago will be the same thing that will happen in Iran, meaning the Argentinian women started marching. Where's our sons? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And they changed the government. And the people in Iran will do the same thing. The women will march, and the women ultimately will be a strong force in changing the government in Iran.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like it might be like another year or two, but I do see movement towards that coming sooner rather than later.
Good questions, Reinhold.
Mhm. No, sorry. Jan wants to know if Elise Stefanik will be named speaker. Absolutely not. I don't feel that at all.
No, I don't feel that.
I heard a strong no as soon as I saw Elise Stefanik.
I don't
No,
think you're like, no.
no.
That's what I got with Jim Jordan. No. No.
Same. We're gonna wrap up. Maybe do one more question because Biden's speech starts in 4 minutes.
We've
So
got almost 800 people watching.
yeah. Hi everyone.
Good
Hit the
job.
thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to mine and Mel's channel. We appreciate that. All
I'm
right.
giving my 20,000 party when I get to 20,000. So
Yeah, and I'm getting close to 10,000. So
wow.
I'm at like 9,300. So once I get to 10,000, we'll be doing another giveaway and we'll have a channel celebration too. I'm on Linda's channel on Sunday, so I think that might help get me closer to it.
I remember when you had like, what was it, 700?
It's crazy. And we've been doing shows for almost January will be 2 years doing our weekly show.
Yep, I know.
Cece says, Kevin, how about asking the pendulum if we'll have a GOP House leader in November, December, January? Okay, I can ask. Last time I got November, though. Will we have a GOP House leader in October?
No.
No, not in October. Will we have a GOP House leader in November? It's saying yes to November. It might be towards the end of the month, though. It's going to be a little bit of chaos in the meantime.
That's what I'm thinking, either toward the end of November, beginning of December, before they have to approve a budget again.
Well, and it would be a yes even if there was an interim, somebody, and if they had him as an interim, he's not going to be an actual speaker. It would be like for the end of the year or for a month or two, and they'd have to keep on voting on it just so that we can get that crucial funding through. So they would still be without a House Speaker.
Okay, so I guess, are we going to close now so people can get in front of the TV and watch that, right?
Yep.
All right.
Well, Mel, it was fun. Next week will be on your channel, correct?
You got it. Next week, my channel live. So I'm sure between this week and next week, there's going to be a lot to talk about.
I was just going to say the same thing. So we're clearly on the same wavelength here.
The wild ride has begun.
All right, everyone. I have all of our information in the description box. If anybody like a reading, Mel's office number is there. I have my email there as well. Yeah, I think we'll have a lot to read on within the next week. So we shall see you all next week on Mel's channel. All right. Bye, everyone.